You watched the documentary on it, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear about it.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
I'll talk about it. We're good. We just roll right into it right now.
Yeah, let's talk about NC State, one of the hottest teams in March Madness right now. And this is not a sports podcast, by the way, but we're going to tie this back to leadership and business. So tell me about NC State.
Yeah. So it all starts. I was waiting for Paige to get home one night. Paige, my girlfriend, and I threw on ESPN Plus, and in ESPN Plus they have all the documentaries on the 30 for 30s, and I'm just throwing my phone on D&D so I don't have it vibrating all the time. So I'm watching this documentary, and it's about it's like a 1983, I think, or 86 or something. One of the 80s NC State teams, North Carolina State. They were shit in the bed, and they had to win their conference tournament in order to make the March Madness. And so how March Madness works, if nobody watched college basketball, is you have like your guaranteed bids. If you win your conference tournament, which is like 30-something conferences, you get an automatic bid. And then you have your at-large bid, so you have your teams that are really good, and they might make it to like the finals, but not win their conference tournament, or they might make it to the semifinals of their conference tournament. But they're still really good. They're gonna get a seed. NC State, however, this year they were dog dookie, like super buns, and they had to win their tournament in order to make the March Madness. And so that's what they did. They went through the whole tournament, and they ended up making the finals against Michael Jordan's University of North Carolina team. And like Michael Jordan is on this team. They have a bunch of NBA players and NBA players who ended up being Hall of Famers, including Michael Jordan. And so they had to beat UNC to make the tournament. They beat UNC. Okay. They made it to the tournament as like a 6 or a 7 seed. And what they end up doing is they end up playing the whole tournament, and they end up making it to the finals against the University of Houston. And they made a whole documentary about this. It's called Survive and Advance. And the coach, and like the whole time they're showing clips of each game as they advance through the tournament. And the way the March Madness works is you win and you advance, or once you lose, you're out. So that's the name Survive and Advance. And their coach, his name's it's either Joe or Jim Valvano, and he's dead now, but like they're playing clips of the tournament, and then they're also playing clips of him giving different speeches and stuff to his team. And like he's kind of a little bit of a woo-woo guy, but like he talks big about like you gotta believe, and he's just instilling belief in his team the whole time. And it's tying back. It's super motivating. And they ended up making it to the finals of this 1986 or 83, whatever year it was in the 80s March Madness tournament against Houston, and they beat them, and they won
They won
the whole thing.
Shoot.
Yeah. Fast forward to this year. I ended up going to actually your fiance's bridal shower. I took my girlfriend's part of it, and we ended up staying in a hotel that weekend, as opposed to just driving back to Vegas that night. And Paige fell asleep, and I'm watching March Madness highlights because I'm figuring out, who I want to bet on. March Madness to me is the most exciting sporting event of any sporting events, because you just never know what's going to happen, and all the games are so crazy. Yeah. And I see NC State highlights pop up on my YouTube, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I thought their team sucked. And then I'm doing a bunch of research. They had to win this year. They had to win 5 games, 5 days in a row against 5 previous March Madness champions. So they beat Louisville, Duke, Virginia, University of North Carolina, and there's another team, I forget who they beat. But they had to play 5 champions 5 days in a row as a 10 seed in their tournament in order to just make the tournament. And they ended up playing in the finals University of North Carolina again this year. And they beat them, which University of North Carolina is the 1 seed in the whole tournament, which they just got knocked out yesterday, actually, by Alabama. But they end up running the gauntlet and making the tournament. And so I had just watched this documentary, and I'm seeing this. I'm like, dude, NC State's going all the way, man. This is just
they're gonna run it back again.
Yeah, this is a repeat. Team has so much heart, and you can't really like analyze that when you're like looking at the stats and stuff. So I'm like, I'm gonna bet big on NC State the whole tournament. Like, why not? And they go into the round of 64 against, who did they play? Texas Tech, which was a 6 seed. They get an 11 seed. They play Texas Tech. And so I think I bet, like, I told you, we were on a meet late at night working on something, and I saw the NC State game was about to start. I'm like, dude, bet big on this. Like, this is a lock. Bet big.
I put like $20 on it or something.
Yeah. And I ended up putting 500. Yeah, I put 500 to win 12. And they crushed the Red Raiders. They beat their ass. And then they moved on to the round of 32. They played Oakland, which was a 14 seed. And then we had the team. We were doing offsite with the coaching team at Home Service Academy. And they had a big TV in the living room next to the pool table. And we put it on. And I put $1,000 on NC State. And then they won again. In a freaking absolute nail biter, dude. You watched it. It went to overtime. Real sweaty. And now they're in the round of 16. They're playing Marquette, which is a 2 seed. And Marquette's a really, really good team. But I'm really big on them. No one's picking them to go all the way. Like, they have the highest odds to make the Final Four. They have the highest odds to win the thing. It's like plus 10,000. So you bet $100, you win 10 grand. If you bet right now. And I'm just really bullish on them because they did it. This is going to be their third time. They did it in the 70s. They did it in the 80s. And now it's like looking to be the same run.
All right. Let's bring it back.
One layer deeper. I'm going to bring it back right now.
Okay.
One layer
deeper. Bring it back.
Their coach right now was on the hot seat. Like, he was going to lose his job if he didn't make the ACC tournament or if he didn't win and get into March Madness. And it was just it's really cool to see and analyze, like, what a good coach can do to a team because we're reading a bunch of leadership books right now. Well, I'm reading a leadership book. I think you just started the one, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Yeah.
Amazing book. And one big thing he talks about is the law number 1 is the law of the lid. A team or a company or whatever it is will only be led to the level of which the leader is at. And it's the law of the lid, right? You have a lid on your leadership. As they use McDonald's as an example. Dick and Maurice McDonald built McDonald's to be a good single location restaurant. But without Ray Kroc coming in and franchising it and taking to where it is now because he's, a level 10 leader, they were just going to stay a local chain. They were never going to get past their level.
Yeah, they like tried franchising and didn't work out.
Yeah.
They just didn't have that level of leadership to take it to that level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just interesting to see it play out in sports where, NC State hires this new coach. He's been there for a few years. He's not really doing much, and then his job gets put on the hot seat, and he takes him to the Sweet 16, a team nobody had guessed was even going to make the tournament.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Well, yeah, I wanted to bring it back to leadership. Like, how does it apply to being a good leader and being the underdog and getting to the point where NC State is at right now?
Yeah, I think it comes back to what we talked about, which is like, the law of the lid. I can't speak. I don't know how they're going to do in the next, 2 weeks as far as like if they're going to win the tournament or not. But I mean, you saw it with the 80s team and you should watch a documentary if you haven't.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really inspiring. And that team, it's interesting because that team that won together, like a lot of them didn't even play in the NBA, but they all still hang out, and like in the documentary, they're all hanging out, and they're all buddies still to this day, and like they're all really, really close to their coach because he ends up passing away from cancer, I think colon cancer or something. But they were all sad, crying, and you could just see the level of buy-in he got from them, and the way he got them to believe in themselves to actually go and win. Because that's a crazy feat, dude, to beat. So out of 64 teams.
Yeah, no, it's insane. Going back to the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I know you haven't finished the book yet, but what laws do you think he followed really well, the 1986 coach, to get that level of buy-in and then get them to rally to win the whole thing?
Yeah, I'm not really sure because I've only gotten through about like 6 of them so far. But I think...
Well, the one I think is really interesting is like the law of influence. Because like there's like managing people and you can get them to do like the normal things, but then there's like the law of influence where it's like a true leader will get people to want to do things that is going to benefit the company or the team or just like everything overall, right? And like to be a leader that has influence, to have that level of buy-in, you have to be like you have to possess a skill. And what do you think he was doing to like get that level of influence from people?
Well, you see clips of him, like, whether it's, like, accepting awards or just giving speeches or whatever, and he definitely had a way with words, is what I've noticed. Like, especially if you look at what University of Colorado did in football with Coach Prime, Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
He went from Jackson State, I forget which college he came from, but some mid-major school, and he was crushing it with them. But he came in to University of Colorado, and there's a really cool video you can watch of him coming and just resetting expectations to his whole team, and he basically says, like, he interjects every other sentence with "I'm coming." He's like, "I'm coming," and he's like, if you don't, he tells them, like, I'm bringing the best recruits in, so if you can't rise to the level of standards that I want, you're off the team, and it's gonna be challenging, it's gonna be difficult. So I'm gonna tell you right now, like, he's trying to get people to quit right there, because he needed to reset the expectations, because prior to him coming in, University of Colorado didn't win a single game. Like, just trash. This football team was. And he ended up opening up the season last year by beating TCU, like, kicking their ass.
Yeah, a really good team.
Yeah, which they had just went to the college football championship the year before. So to take a team from not winning a single game to beating the previous team that was about to win the national championship, it's all because of just good coaching and leadership.
Yeah, what I think is really interesting from the book, too, though, is, like, you said he had a way with words, and I think both of those coaches do. And I think people feel like you have to be born with that skill, like that level of charisma and being able to say words in a certain way. But it says in the book, like, that is something that's learned. Like, some people definitely have an edge when they're, just naturally talented and leaning towards, like, having that skill, but it is definitely something that can be learned.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot of good examples of it, too. Like, I just watched We Crashed. Have you watched that yet?
No.
Dude, it's fire. But it's about WeWork and Adam Newman. And, like, obviously Adam Newman's got his problems. But you can't deny the guy's an insane leader. Because their whole mission was to elevate the world's consciousness. Like, what the hell does that even mean? Like, what does that even mean for a co-working company? But he, like, leaned into it so heavy and always tied back to the mission and got everybody so fired up. You'll see in the series. To position this a co-working company as a tech company and get everybody fired up about their whole mission of elevating the world's consciousness, and took WeWork to be valued at its peak, it was like $47 or $49 billion.
Yeah, I mean, despite what he did with WeWork, and I mean, he kind of screwed over a lot of people doing what he did, but he was a level 10 leader, right? To be able to take a co-working spot, a co-working concept, and, raise so much money for it, position it in the way that he did as a tech company, like, he was able to make it $1 billion company at some point, which is pretty crazy. And, like, there's WeWork locations all over the place. So that's definitely a level 10 leader.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, and then talk a little bit about the lessons we've learned recently in HSA as far as leadership goes.
That's a good question. I mean, I think recently in the past couple years, leadership, I've learned that one of the things with, I think it was called, like, the law of influence. Like, one key aspect to that was experience, like having a track record where you're successful. And I think this was something I struggled with in our first company. Like, I wanted to be a leader. I wanted to be, like, the best leader possible. But I feel like that wasn't there just because it was our first company. We were, like, kids, basically. We were 18, 19 years old. And I can see it now. There's a shift because we've built a company, sold it, and then taken this company to, like, the level that it's at very quickly, that I think people trust us a lot more. And that's, like, without having to do anything, like say certain words or, do certain actions. It's just because we have a track record. So I think that was something that I was missing before, but, like, it just has to come with experience. You got to, like, prove yourself, And even now, like, yeah, we have a 25-person team, but, like, I still have to continue proving myself, getting the company to, like, the next level and showing people, like, yeah, I still got it. So that's one thing that I learned.
Okay, let me just interrupt real quick to tell you about Home Service Academy. It's the company Sergio and I run. Home Service Academy is essentially a business in the box where our team will actually roll up our sleeves and help you build a house cleaning business and run it completely remotely from anywhere in the world, from dirt to however big you actually want to take it. To date, we've helped over 1,500 people start and grow their existing house cleaning businesses all across the US and Canada. It's something we've gotten very, very good at. And if you've been looking to dip your toe into entrepreneurship, whether that's to go full-time in a business, to replace an income, or just build a side hustle that produces you an extra whatever amount of money you want to make on the side, on top of your current 9 to 5, then click the link in the bio and book a call with our team. It's completely free. And at the very least, you'll see what it looks like to actually run one of these businesses, the time commitments, the amount of money it costs to actually start, and every good and bad thing that can come with running one of these. So again, if that's something you're interested in, click the link in the bio and let's get back to the pod.
Yeah. I think we both learned that because, context, we started Home Service Academy and we've been stuck for like the last 15 months at like this like $400,000 a month mark. Like we can't, like we've been trying really, really hard to get to 500 and above per month. Yeah. And we haven't been able to crack it, and we're like trying all these, like, oh, maybe it's just we try this, we try that. And we had a good talk last week or 2 weeks ago and just had to look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, well, I mean, dude, it's nothing like no tactics are gonna like get us past this. We have this team we've built, and we got to look at the mirror and be like, hey, dude, like we got to level up as leaders and get us past that. And I think the first law in that book really drove that home. The law of the lid is like your company will only perform to the level at which you lead it. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be really exciting because I think if we're starting to show up a little different, we're putting some new things in place, and I think we'll crack it. So,
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, everything comes down to you. Mm-hmm. Like extreme ownership, Jocko Willink, he explains that. He's like, you have to take complete ownership of everything, good or bad. Everything is your fault. Mm. And that's, I mean, we've always known that, but like you want to say, oh, it's because of this or it's because of that. But at the end of the day, when you're stuck for that long, it's because of yourself.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, if you own a company, the culture starts with you. It's all a trickle down. It starts with whoever's at the top end. I'm watching with Paige. I'm watching Quiet on Set. Have you seen that?
No.
It's the Nickelodeon documentary about how all the shit that went down with all the kids.
Yeah. I've seen like clips of it on TikTok and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't finished it yet, but even then, they're talking about how the guy Dan Schneider, he made Drake and Josh and all these different shows. He managed to show all the big Nickelodeon show Victorious. They talked about how, like, he had hit after hit after hit, but the working conditions were so terrible because he was like a huge micromanager, and he'd have like people massage him on set, and it was just really weird working environment. And they even said, they're like, the person who's running it, even because as the director of a show, like, you're the leader, you set the tone. And it really drove it home again for me. It's like, yeah, that you set the tone as the owner, the coach, the leader, whatever. And so if people aren't doing what you need them to do, it's your fault. It's really interesting because, like, yeah,
it's crazy. Like, you just called Dan Snyder a good leader.
No, I didn't. That's I was about to. You didn't let me finish. Okay. I'm not saying he's a good leader, but I was talking to Paige. I'm like, this is all messed up. Don't get me wrong. Like, but he got shit done. He got shit done. He's a fucking weird guy. Not defending him at all, but it was interesting. Like, it was just interesting looking at it through the lens of leadership in business, because he made hit after hit after hit after hit. Don't get me wrong, guy's a weirdo and he's really, really fucking fat, but like
you just had to throw that in there.
Like, dude, the guy is just atrocious to look at, but he got shit done.
Yeah. I forgot what else we're going to talk about.
We're going to talk about Home Service. I mean, now's a good point to go over Home Service Academy and like some goals. So we talked about Moxie too, because that ties into what we want to do with Home Service Academy. So I found this company, Moxie. You know about this, but it's interesting because we're in a world now where, like, you scroll on, you get on Instagram and you see so many ads of gurus saying, make money this way, make money that way. And a lot of it's not compliant because they say, I guarantee you're going to make 10 grand or make this, make that, all these income claims. And I come across this company called Moxie, and what they do is it's a startup. They raise money, and they help people start med spas. So their whole thing is we help nurses and doctors start exceptional med spas. And it's a coaching business. It's just a biz op coaching business. Just like we do, just instead of house cleaning, it's med spas. And I'm like, interesting. Okay. And I go on their website. There's no income claims. There's no guarantees. And I start diving deeper into what their business model is. And I've come to find out they raised $15.7 million for this coaching company. I'm like, how the hell is a coaching company raising 15
Yeah, that's
million?
unheard of.
Yeah. And it made me think of like WeWork. I'm like, oh, these fuckers are just positioning it as like some like tech startup when it's really just a coaching business. But it is. And so what they're doing is they charge a launch fee. And then they also have, when you work with them and you get their coaching, you have to use their CRM called Moxie Suite, and it handles everything, like the bookings, the leads, it's CRM, but they also take payment within it. And so they do a launch fee, plus you come in as a nurse doctor, you start this med spa, you have to use their software suite. And in their software suite, you have to, whenever you charge like a med spas, like you get like Botox and lip filler, you have one of your med spas charged for like a lip filler service or Botox service. Moxie takes a small cut of every charge. So it's very aligned in the fact of like, yeah, you make some money up front, not much for the launch fee, but then you're getting paid more and more as you help grow this business. And so it's true alignment with your clients or your students, whatever you want to call them, when they come in to build their business. But it's not a franchise where they charge royalties. It's just a small fee.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a perfect middle ground between like a coaching business and a franchise. I mean, it really is more than a coaching business if you take into account like a CRM that's taking payments and all that stuff, because the stickiness and retention, customer retention, is going to be like way higher, because you already know people don't leave CRMs that easy. That's why they can be valued so high. So if anyone has a coaching business, it's definitely the play to make.
Yeah, 100%.
If they want to make their company more valuable.
I think that's the way we move too. I want to move to
I mean,
that
we've been
direction.
talking about it. I would love to do that, especially because I just know we can make a great CRM that could help our students, be even more successful. So why not?
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. And the way I found that was I found this girl on TikTok. She's a venture capitalist, and she's like, business in the box startups are like the hottest thing right now. And she talked about Moxie, and then she also, it reminded me of, we had a guy that came and did a master class on Google Ads named Anthony. He runs a big painting business down in Miami, and then also a Google Ads agency. And he had a conversation with these guys that are doing something similar to what we're doing, but it's called Join Owners. And Owners, the same thing. They raise a bunch of money, and they do home service businesses. So similar to us, like they do some cleaning, they do a bunch of different niches in home service. It's not just cleaning. And so I was like, I wonder how they're doing it. And I did some more research on them. I went through their funnel, but they're only Spanish, and they were like blowing me up. I shit you not, they called me like 8 times in the first day, like 8 times the second day. They're calling me all the way till 9 p.m. at night. And I was like finally sick of them calling me, so I answer. And the lady's speaking Spanish to me. And I'm like, I don't speak English. And she's like, oh.
No, you don't speak Spanish.
Huh? No.
You just said you don't speak English.
I mean, I don't speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish is what I told her.
Yeah.
Obviously, I speak English. But she's like, oh, ha, 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 and then hangs up on me. And then they keep calling me.
Wow.
They keep calling me. And then they're texting me, blowing me up in Spanish. And I'm like, I don't speak Spanish. And they send me another text in Spanish. I'm like, I don't speak Spanish. Another text in Spanish.
Yeah. I mean, that's respect. The follow-up game.
I respect the follow-up game, but it's like, dude.
But business in a box is it's an interesting business model. I feel like when we started this business, I always felt that this would be an industry that got bigger, just because a lot of people are moving away from the college type of thing, especially because college got so expensive. People don't want to be like $100K in debt when they could buy a business in a box for, $5 to $10K. I still believe that. I don't know, because the whole industry just seems kind of on edge right now with the FTC and all that. But I do think it could bounce back. I think what's gonna happen is the FTC is gonna crack down all the gurus and the fakies are gonna like get weeded out.
Fakies.
Yeah, I just made that up right now. But the people like us that have like legit programs with legit success and things like that, and we could ride through it and then come out the other side with, something that's just as valuable as college, but more affordable.
It comes down to how you position it, man. Because
it does.
It made me realize like we're playing in a game, like in a losing game, competing against gurus who are like
make $1 million in
we don't do that.
2 months.
We don't do that. Like we definitely learned that lesson, but still, like the whole concept of like direct response, hopping on an ad, being like this new unheard of side hustle, blah blah blah.
Yeah, because is Harvard doing that? Is Harvard running Facebook ads saying,
They're
"Hey,
not.
join our freaking college," and then blowing your phone up after?
We guarantee you're gonna get an investment banking job. Like they're not doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
So we just have to do a better job at positioning it as a business in a box, as like a Harvard, and it comes down to marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we are gonna get there. We just have to. It's a transition period for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Changing your whole brand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going to further down HSA, we're getting into spring cleaning now. And it's interesting because like you do see some seasonality in house cleaning. For anyone that doesn't know, we have a company called Home Service Academy. We help people start cleaning businesses, and we had like this last quarter of like just stick with it. It's gonna be slow. We still had a bunch of success, don't get me wrong, but now we're moving into spring cleaning. So what are you most excited for as far as spring cleaning goes? And if you run, a lot of people that watch us have cleaning companies.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, spring clean is just, if I'm being honest, you don't have to be a good company to make a lot of money. That's just what it is, because there's just so much demand for it. Like everyone's thinking about it, and if you do know what you're doing, you're going to make even more money. So, running paid ads, and then just like organic, if you have any kind of like good SEO in place, then you're just going to get a ton of calls. So always be recruiting. That's what we like to say.
Always
ABC.
be closing and always be recruiting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what you don't want to happen is you have too many customers and not enough cleaners. That's like the worst position to be in, because you either hire bad cleaners or you just have to turn people away. And like no one likes saying no to money. So always be recruiting. But that's what I'm excited for.
That's a good opportunity too to start and get a lot of momentum, because I mean literally right now spring cleaning's a thing. So you click turn on the ads and like they're gonna flow because there's a lot of people searching for house cleaners.
Yeah, you don't even have to be an established company.
Yeah, like we saw Tommy Lee's up in Calgary, our Canadian company that we work with, and he was stuck. He was like going through the mud last quarter, like because it snows. He had commercial accounts that were shut down because of the snow. And we saw him go from like 10K, stuck at 10, started at 20 when he came into Accelerator, dropped down to 10, and then now he skyrocketed back up to 30, just because of the tailwind. And then Barron and Helen came in, 20K, they went 20K, 30K, 40K. Right now they're like 55. I'm sure spring cleaning is going to carry them up to $1 million this year. So
yeah, and that's crazy to say. Like they're in their first year, so yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it's really satisfying looking at the P&L, and you just see the revenue. It's like hockey stick up.
Yeah,
But,
dude, sometimes I wish we had Home Service Academy when we were coming up.
Oh, people don't know how good they have it, bro. We did $5,000,
People are so spoiled.
$10,000, $42,000. It took us 4 years. Or 3 years, 4 years just to crack 200 or 100K in sales. Yeah.
Shout out to Barron Helen. I think they listen to this podcast. So if they made it this far, shout out to them.
They do listen. I was looking at the analytics, and I see San Antonio on there every time. I'm like, that's got to be them.
Well, he messaged me like a couple weeks ago saying something about it. So that's how I know he listens.
Yeah. What else, man? What else you want to talk about? We kind of came into this one blind because we expected a guest, didn't have the guest.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about where we want to take this podcast. Just for the listeners.
Okay, where do you want to take it?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to start a podcast. Just to be able to like, one, just build a really cool audience that likes listening to different perspectives. I think that's the coolest thing about podcasts, is that you could bring a lot of different guests on and just get different perspectives on the world, like from people that work in different industries or just like see the world a different way. So that's what I love most about like our favorite podcast, like My First Million and things like that, is you get to hear a lot of interesting stories and like see opportunity through different lens. So like we have a podcast that hasn't came out yet, but by the time this comes out, it'll be out. And we interviewed Troy.
Superhuman Troy?
Yeah, exactly. Troy, yeah. And dude, what he's been able to do with Alphaline is insane. Also, I ordered some protein from him, so I'll let you know how that goes.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean
I'll have to try
that's what I'm most excited about. We're about to start going big into like getting on other people's podcasts and bringing like bigger guests on this one. So I'm excited for that. What about you?
I just heard a drill noise, caught me off guard. I'm just excited to keep growing it, dude. We're at 14 episodes. I think we have like 3 in the pipeline, including this one. I think 4. So we're almost at that 20. And we started this with like, let's just get to 20.
Yeah.
And I met with Joey last night. Joey's our content director, and I was going through, and I'm starting to see the views on YouTube pick up, which is cool. Or was at like 90, 100, 100. Now we're getting like 300, 400 per episode. And then I was expecting to have a lot more downloads, but we're only at 300 downloads. I was like, ooh, that's not that great, but.
Well, I'm not sure how that works exactly with downloads. Like, if someone listens to it but doesn't download it, that doesn't count, right?
I don't know.
I don't think it does.
I hope not.
And
make me feel a little better.
Yeah.
But I'm just excited to get bigger guests on. Like we're doing a big outreach campaign, not only to get on other people's podcasts, but also to get people here. So I have Ricky's our cold email guy, Joey's the content guy. So I have them working together to do a whole big cold email campaign. Ricky's scraping 10,000 leads of podcast hosts and their contact info, so they're going to get absolutely ass blasted with emails from us to either get on our show or we're going to get on their show. So
yeah, and like people don't really know this, but like every big podcaster out there literally had to like, go through the mud, even if they did have like a pretty good brand, because podcast is just like one of those like media channels that takes a long time to build up. So that's why we came into this like, let's just get to 20 episodes, and if we could do that, then we could just keep going. Like consistency really is key.
Yeah.
So we're not stopping.
We're almost there.
I'm not leaving.
We got some cool stuff too.
I'm not fucking leaving.
We're actually rolling out another podcast.
Yeah.
The Home Service Academy podcast. I don't know what we're calling it yet, but we're going to call it something cool. But we have a lot of internal content, a lot of internal trainings, a lot of internal podcasts we do with our students. And Home Service Academy, the actual YouTube channel that we're going to post all that content on, I think is going to blow up this year too, because that's going to be, like, I know a lot of people watch us for cleaning. We don't talk about cleaning all the time. We actually hardly talk about cleaning. But Home Service Academy will just be strictly cleaning educational content. So I'm really excited for that, because it'll make me feel better about getting on here and bullshitting the way we bullshit. And then having that of just strictly cleaning. So if somebody's looking for, like, how do I hire cleaners? Like, my cleaner called out. What do I do? How do I price? Like, go to Home Service Academy and you'll have all the answers.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's a good place to wrap it then.
That was quick, man. That was quick.
No, that was good.
Oh, yeah.
35.
Yapping for a bit. All right.
40
well,
minutes, yeah.
if you want to start a cleaning business, click the link in the bio, and you'll see what it looks like to work with us one-on-one. And we also have the podcast coming out with our coaches, too. That'll be the episode before this, I think.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched that, watch that, because that'll give you insight into what our team actually looks like, because you won't be really working with us one-on-one. You'll be working with them. But they're all really smart, really talented at what they do, and have a really impressive resume. So click the link, watch the training. If it's something you're interested, cool. If not, then keep enjoying the content. Peace.